Overwatch 2 is the upcoming next iteration of the Overwatch video game franchise, and will feature a mix of PvE and PvP content. The game is being developed and published by Blizzard Entertainment, and it's been the topic of discussion within the Overwatch community for the past 2 years. Blizzard has been relatively secret about the development of the project, and now rumors are circulating that we will see the game in the next few months. So let's break down what Overwatch 2 is, new multiplayer elements, and what to expect from the title. As always, all the sources will be linked in the description below, so make sure to check those out and support those original writers. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter at FONCT2 for updates on all future videos. With that out of the way, let's get into everything we know about Overwatch 2. We can quickly touch on the leaks that circulated around the title before the reveal event, and there are quite a few, not just before the announcement, but even up to the time of recording, so I will be covering the leaks as they come up, and just the leaks I find relevant. I know there's probably a lot more, but just for the sake of this video, we'll cover the important ones. So some of the first discussion around the title came from Jason Schreier, who's a former writer at Kotaku and is known for having good sources when it comes to the gaming industry. He said in June of 2019 that Overwatch 2 would be mostly or almost all about PvE, or player versus environment. And he speculated that this game would combine with Overwatch 1's player versus player systems, and he wasn't sure about the final name and if the title would be called Overwatch 2. And this got people thinking immediately what this means for the future of the franchise, and why Blizzard was making this step away from some of the heavier multiplayer, player versus player elements into a more, not single player, but player versus environment. The next insider news came in October of 2019 from Metro, who, if you don't know, became a source on Overwatch after correctly leaking information about the sequel before BlizzCon 2019 before the reveal event, and he even knew a new hero would be coming as well. Metro said that Overwatch 2 was going to have a leveling system that will affect how we play heroes in this upcoming game. The post itself is very vague, but once again it makes sense given the rumors about the player versus environment nature of the game. Characters can be given more mechanics without Blizzard having to worry too much about balance. And then later in October, some key art was leaked from Overwatch 2, which showed off the new tracer design and the updated logo for the game. I know there's smaller leaks out there, but since most of these ended up being true, I don't want to cover everything and we'll just get into the actual confirmed information. I also know there was the ESPN leak, which leaked some of the biggest details about Overwatch 2, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to move on. Let's move on to the official reveal event itself at BlizzCon 2019. The 0-hour cinematic was released and served many different functions. The first being to formally announce that Overwatch 2 was happening and something that Blizzard was working on. And the other was to link the story of Overwatch to the events of Overwatch 2. It also showed off a new character that was coming to Overwatch, which was Echo. But Blizzard was cautious to make promises to fans because they weren't sure when the game would release. Jeff Kaplan, the game director on the project, when asked about the release, said, quote, "I don't know, I have no idea." He says, "Just let us make it great, that's what we care about more than anything. We don't have a date in mind." And this isn't too surprising. There has been this trend recently in the gaming industry that I actually agree with, where studios will reveal a game for investors and fans for whatever reason, but just not give a release window if the company isn't sure, because releases really only lead to delays and disappointment, and it's the same trend we've seen with The Elder Scrolls 6, where the team wanted to announce it but didn't want to go into any further detail about the game itself. With the reveal event out of the way, let's move on to what Overwatch 2 is. I've seen a lot of confusion on why this title is necessary, especially with all the connection to Overwatch 1 and what's even going to be the purpose of this game. But a lot of the early press around the title has described Overwatch 2 as more of a player versus environment expansion, which means it will be players against robots, AI, whatever you want to call it, and not against other players. The game itself will feature more story, dialogue, and cutscenes compared to Overwatch 1, and the team has said that each story mission will start and end with a cinematic. Hero leveling is also confirmed, which as we heard before was from a leak. And there will be a new mode in Overwatch 2 called Hero Missions, which allow players to play as heroes to level up and customize character abilities to beat off harder and changing missions. And this is kind of where Overwatch 2 splits. So there's the main story, and then there's also going to be these hero missions, and that's going to make up a lot of the bulk content. Within these, they are also adding item pickups, and a few have been shown off in these new game modes. There's a corrosive grenade, a barrier shield, and an HP generator, all of which can be held and utilized by any character within the mission. There will also be new enemy types added to the game as well. The team has been relatively coy about these new factions, but they do say that new enemies of Overwatch will be in game and have their own strengths and weaknesses that can be learned and used against them. And the last real piece of PvE content that I mentioned is story missions, which will all be 4-player missions that will feature Overwatch taking the fight to the Null sector across the world. And as the players do travel the world, we will uncover the motive behind the Omnic attacks, which will take us across the globe to all new locations in Overwatch. And that for the most part covers up basically what you need to know about Overwatch 2 and a lot of the PvE components of the game. But the game will also feature multiplayer components as well. The main multiplayer mode the team has shown off so far is called Push. The multiplayer mode has been compared to Tug of War, and it features a robot in a central location between the two teams, and all players must use the robot to push it further into enemy territory, and whichever team pushes the robot the furthest wins at the end. Along with this, we will be getting new maps as well. So far, the team has promised Toronto, Gothenburg, Rio de Janeiro, and Monte Carlo. And all of this is interesting itself, but the real part most people are interested in is the fact that Overwatch 2 and Overwatch 1 will be connected in the multiplayer. And Blizzard has said that Overwatch 1 will be receiving all the PvP updates that are coming to Overwatch 2. So players from both games will be able to queue up together and still play multiplayer together. So if you are playing Overwatch 2 but your friends are still playing Overwatch 1, you can still play together, sync up, and nothing will change. How this will work actually in practice is yet to be seen, and some fans aren't sure how it will work with different graphics and different character skins, but it's really too early to tell, and I have faith in Blizzard that they figured it out or else they wouldn't have promised it. Along with all the maps and updates being shared between the two games, Kaplan has also said that the Overwatch 1 cosmetics will be shared to Overwatch 2, so if you spent a lot of time working for a certain skin, that will not be lost if you decide to transfer over to Overwatch 2. And of course, all the heroes that are coming to Overwatch 2 will be coming to Overwatch 1 as well. And one other thing worth mentioning is Blizzard did allow early gameplay from BlizzCon 2019 to be captured by games media and content creators, so if you have only been casually following Overwatch 2, there is gameplay available where you can see one of the story missions and the first multiplayer push. The last aspect I want to cover that slightly relates to multiplayer is the idea of loot boxes, which is never a fun topic to cover, but recently we have seen some games move slightly away from the idea of loot boxes into other ways to monetize their games post-launch. In March of 2020, Kaplan did an interview with PC Games N and discussed what monetization could look like in Overwatch 2. He was asked, quote, "There's been a skew towards battle passes and paying for new content in live games. Are there any plans to change the monetization of Overwatch from loot boxes, or is it just something that's locked in at this point?" And Jeff responded saying, quote, "Well, we have made a lot of changes to loot boxes and how they work over the years, so we're definitely open to change. Overwatch 2, in terms of business model, we're exploring different options that move us further away from loot boxes. But I think that will be more for Overwatch 2 than the core game. I would never rule anything out. I think battle passes are cool. Putting monetization to the side, a battle pass is a fun engagement mechanism. If you look at a game like Diablo 3, they have what's called the Season Journey, which is, in essence, a battle pass. It's not monetized in any way, it's just a bunch of cool content. These are the things you should be doing in the game, and if you do, we're gonna reward you. I think that's an awesome system. And while this doesn't outright say Overwatch 2 won't have loot boxes, it sounds like Blizzard is considering different ideas for their game, and the sequel gives them the perfect opportunity to try out something new when they're kind of already stuck in a certain monetization model for Overwatch 1. One of the key aspects of Overwatch 2 has been the heroes, and Blizzard has said there will be new heroes for all of the classes in Overwatch 2. In the cinematic trailer, a new hero, Echo, was shown off, but she ended up being released for Overwatch 1. And Blizzard has said more recently that she will be the last new hero for the game until the release of Overwatch 2. So moving on to some of the new heroes we could see, the first and only real confirmed hero in Overwatch 2 is Sojourn. She has been described as a central figure to the Overwatch organization and will be a critical character moving forward, and her story will be extremely important to the events that take place in Overwatch 2. She has been teased before this point, but that didn't necessarily mean she would show up in game, so fans were excited that this is one of the characters that will finally be playable. She's also the first hero from Canada in game, so that's cool. And as I said, she is at the time of recording the only confirmed character, but I thought it would be interesting to cover a few of the fan requested characters that have already been hinted at in the past. The first being the FONCT hero. And speculation for this really started when Kaplan said during a development update that in the Kanzaka map there are Easter eggs for future heroes. Fans were quickly able to find a piece of graffiti in-game, which not only features a fox, but the word yokai, which is a Japanese word for supernatural spirits. There isn't really too much else to go on in this rumor. There was a debunked screenshot that ran parallel to this rumor, and it included 4 hero silhouettes, and one looked like it could be a woman assassin with a fox by her side, but as I said, this was debunked. So where we're at with this one is there's potentially a FONCT hero that has some sort of supernatural spirit element and potentially even connected to Japan somehow just with the graffiti itself. Another character teaser that showed up in the Kanzaka map is a character named Brit. She's a mech character, and she was the original mech pilot the team used to pitch Overwatch way back in the day. But what makes her different from D.Va is that she has 2 separate mechs. One is a support mech and the other is an attack mech, which could be very cool to see how Blizzard could make this work and the versatility this character could have. Plus we could see interactions between Brit and D.Va, which could be really interesting to see in the story perspective. Another character fans have speculated could show up in Overwatch 2 is the Junker Queen, or Queen of Junkertown. She is known to be a respected fighter and leader, and it has been rumored that concept art has been created sometime before 2019 for the character, and Blizzard does have plans for the character sometime in the world of Overwatch. Whether or not this means Overwatch 2 is yet to be seen. And the last character I want to cover is Mauga, who is a member of Talon and is a former friend to Baptiste. Blizzard was originally going to make Mauga Hero 31, but shifted away from that idea, but still says that at some point the character will be playable and is another character Blizzard has plans for at some point in the future, which is a quote Blizzard says a lot about these characters. There hasn't been a recent tease for Mauga in any of the recent maps, but it still is someone that we should consider could show up in Overwatch 2 as we are traveling across the world. And for the most part, those are a few of the more interesting characters. I know there's a lot more teases and things people expect, but I think that's a good intro for some of the fan favorite characters we could see in Overwatch 2. And now we can transition into development. As development continued throughout 2020, there were alleged leaks that circulated throughout the community, one being Bridget's skills when leveling up, which includes a jetpack cat at level 10, which went pseudo-viral on Twitter. Another being the skill tree for Ana. I'm not going to cover these. If you want to pause the video and check them out, you can do that, feel free, and I'll also link the original sources down below so you guys can check them out there too. Moving on, in March of 2020, in an interview with PC Games N, Kaplan said one of the main focuses for Overwatch in 2020 was shifting the development team focus to Overwatch 2. He doesn't say they are going to be exclusively working on Overwatch 2, but he says they will be shifting to Overwatch 2 with a heavy focus. And they are shifting as many resources as possible to the game, which hopefully means development for the project has been progressing as smoothly as possible during the pandemic and didn't affect development too drastically for the project. Then in August of 2020, Insider Metro reassured fans again that the next Overwatch 2 content will be shown at BlizzCon 2021, which is now a digital-only showcase, and he speculates that Blizzard could either release the game entirely at BlizzCon or at least give players a beta. Metro elaborated further in a Twitch stream and said the game was supposed to release in 2020 but was delayed internally due to the coronavirus, and says he is 95% sure that at least the beta will be released, if not a full release. Metro continued on in October of 2020 in another tweet and said rumors of the Overwatch League being delayed until April could be due to the fact that Blizzard wants a clear release window for Overwatch 2, once again could either be a beta or full release, and fans should be looking forward to February of 2021. If you don't know, BlizzCon 2021 will be running on the 19th and 20th of February, so we should be seeing more about the title, and it sounds like from all insiders and news and information, it should be a beta, or if you want to be very optimistic, a full release. So what should we expect from the title? I would say it's all but confirmed there will be major Overwatch 2 news coming out at BlizzCon 2021. Blizzard is also releasing a second volume of the Art of Overwatch in October of 2021, which could include new art for Overwatch 2 and insight on the design process, and fans have used this as more information that we could be getting Overwatch 2 before this art book comes out. And the best part about games like this is we don't have too much longer to wait and see who the new characters are, what the confirmed platforms will be, and how much content Blizzard has been able to make from the Overwatch universe. And that is everything we know about Overwatch 2 and where I'm going to end this video. Make sure to like and share, subscribe for weekly gaming news, and I will see you guys in the next one.